So to me, I consider this a really nice snapshot, but but it's not it doesn't have much artistic merit. It's just a real nice family picture. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Okay, the next one is, I'm gonna have to. Okay, it's called Doors.
Okay, and I really enjoyed looking at this picture. Of course, the title makes very good sense. It's technically very nice. You look at the focal range; it is sharp from front to rear. The exposure is very nice, but I know the title is Doors, but it still lacks a hero, a subject. I'd like to see a bicycle leaning against a distant wall, or a cluster of nuns walking down the street. It's a really nice travel picture, but I'd rather see the presence of some people or the effect of people in the picture. Thank you.
Okay. The next one is Paris.
Again, to me, this is the travel picture. I understand what the maker is seeing, the multiple layers and tiers of the scene, the train, the bridge, the lights, and the buildings. But to me, it just really kind of lacks a focal point. If I were doing the only thing that I think I could do to try to make it more interesting would be to make it much wider. You have the arch of the bottom bridge. I'd like to go all the way over to the left end of the bridge where you have down to about the same place on the arc. To me, as a panorama, it would be much more interesting. Thank you.
Okay. This is called, let's see here, unfortunately, on this.
That's called a haircut.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, thank you. Haircut. There you go.
Yeah. Of course, I really love this image. Anybody sees it has to love this image. It's a wonderful candid shot, a type of photography that I wish I could learn to do. I think the maker had a wonderful eye. You were in a great place at the right time. You had the right lens.
This was way before the internet and long before cable news. That team earned an Emmy Award and initiated one of the most respected journalistic partnerships in television.
Okay.
And as they say, the rest is history. PBS NewsHour remains just as relevant today as it was
when it
first
mute
aired
on?
more than 40 years ago. In fact, it may be more important now than ever.
I gotta mute these people.
I think we're getting somebody's TV.
Yeah, but they need to turn their mute off, okay? They need to have their mute on, rather. So everyone but Jack and me, please mute your mics. Thank you. Okay, so what's your verdict on this one, Jack? Sorry about that, Paul.
Okay, I think this image certainly deserves to be, to be considered for award later. I think it's just terrific. Thank you.
You got it. Okay, the next one is called, I'm gonna have to put the thing, After Dark. After Dark.
Same pick. We haven't changed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't expect to do this. After Dark, we're set.
I love the idea. I think it's a very creative concept. It's very well, like I said, I think it's a wonderful concept, but the subject is the dancer. The guy, the guy in his Blues Brothers outfit. And the problem is that he's blurry and everything else is sharp. I think it's really important that in this picture, that the primary subject be sharp. So it's just a matter of using the proper camera techniques and shutter speeds and ISO to be able to stop the dancer and freeze it. If anything's going to be out of focus, I'd rather the background be a little soft. Thank you.
Okay, so that's not to be reviewed. Okay, next one is Full Torque.
I think this is very creative. I love abstract images, and this could be anything from a suspension bridge to a kitchen tool. I mean, it could be anything. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the maker did a wonderful job of capturing the tones and the forms and the shapes of this image. I would certainly consider this for an award. I like it.
Okay, that's an inner. Next one is Without Within.
I think maybe we have, it doesn't matter, but we could have one person entering two images. Of course, this is technically very nice. Also, wonderful, geometric design. I really prefer the original, or I prefer the previous image over this one. It it's just very, very nice and technically excellent. Thank you.
Do you want to review it later?
Yes. No, thank you.
Okay, got it. Okay, the next one is Mason Mill Stairs.
This to me is a nice snapshot. It's a very nice travel picture. It's a good example of where you were. It shows wonderful detail. It's technically very well done. Look at the depth of focus, but it really lacks any particular focal point or any real point of interest. So I would pass on this one. Thank you.
Okay. Next one's Little Bear Creek Falls. Detail number 2.
Biggest challenge here is it's a waterfall. There are a zillion waterfalls out there, and if you're going to photograph them, you really got to do something special. It has to have a special point of view, a special angle, a special detail. This is a nice snapshot of a waterfall, and that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, not to review later. All right.
No.
Okay, the next one is called Cascade.
This one to me is much more interesting. Excuse me, a lot more creative. I think the maker's point of view is excellent. The only thing that let's see, technically it's very nice. Depth of focus is great. Contrast is very nice. If I were going to make any changes at all, I would probably crop some off the bottom. I don't think it needs quite so much, quite so many rocks on the bottom. And I would consider this for an award.
Okay, you got it. Next, oh, my pointer just flew on me. Oh, there we go. I have a movable pointer. It's got its own personality. Okay, well, the next one is called Culinary Shadow Play.
I think the greatest benefit of this picture is just the fact that the person who did this is very creative. This is something that you put together, you control, you design this image, and you find those things in your kitchen cabinet, and you create this image, and it's all about shadows. But I think it's lacking in its technical qualities. I think that the fork is kind of burned out. I would probably crop a good bit off the left side. I don't think you need that second texture of material. So it's a nice shot and well crafted, but I would not put this in the award category.
Right. Next one is Mill Ruins and Falls, Cochrane Mill.
A really nice. Okay, here we go. It's a really nice waterfall picture. How's that? It has a lot of texture, a lot of depth. Look at all the levels of depth in this picture, from that stone formation at the lower left to the wall, to the water and the cascades and the stone formations on the top. I'd probably pump it up with a little more contrast. Again, that's just my taste. I'd like to see a little more kick in it. And when I viewed the image earlier, the way it was sent to me, there was quite a lot of burnout in the water. So I think some exposure control and some processing might improve that. I would pass this one along.
Okay. Next one is Detail Little Bear Creek Falls. There you go.
And again, to me, this is a pretty nice picture of a waterfall. I like the fact that the maker very carefully chose the shutter speed to get a really nice, soft, feathery look on the water. I think that was very well done. Everything in the upper left is confusing. I'm not sure if I'm seeing lichen or leaves or what. So I think that probably there's a better picture in here someplace. I like the bottom third of the picture much more as a panorama. Thank you.
Okay, no need for review later. Okay, the next one is Ocean Textures.
I think it's wonderful that this maker chose to make this vertical. A vertical composition to me is a great way of expressing levels and layers of contrast and detail in the picture. And you've got about 17 different levels of detail in this picture. Exposure is challenging. There are a lot of darks and a lot of lights, a lot of lights, but it still lacks. Gosh, it still lacks pop. There's no real hero in this picture. Nothing to make it a great shot. So I would pass on this one.
All right, got it. Next item is keeping safe.
I think this is a wonderful concept. It's obviously a candid portrait of those people. I think the title is better than the picture. I think the theme is wonderful. I would rather see the people completely reversed. I really want to see that. I really want to see that little girl's face. I think it would really change this picture dramatically if she were looking toward us. I love his expression. I love the look in his eyes, but I really need to see her face. Thank you.
Abandoned hotel.
This is a very well done photograph. I love this type of theme. Of course, anything that's old and derelict, I'm attracted to. The things that I'd like to see better, though, I like the clouds in the upper right. I love the contrast and the patterns of those clouds. But on the upper left, the clouds go black, and I just really can't get my brain around those black clouds. I would also crop some. I think there's too much in the bottom. I would take maybe a quarter off the bottom of it to make it more panoramic. I think would improve that image. Somebody's got a great eye. They found a great barn and did a great job of photographing it. Thank you.
Do you want to review it later, or what do you think?
No.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, the next one is live oak. Live oak.
I really like this one. To me, it just has a tremendous visual punch to it. I think the maker did a great job of seeing this image, wait until the right time of day. It's all about shadows and textures and silhouettes. And I think it's just, and I also like the toning. I think the toning adds a glow to this picture. There are a couple of bright spots, and again, I know we're looking directly into the sun, but about midway in the picture, just to the right of the tree trunk, there's a big bright spot, and it would be awfully easy to clone that down. Some people would suggest you clone down the sun, but I don't. For one thing, I think if you tried to pull the sun down, it would probably get muddy and ugly. So I leave it the way it is, but I would clean up some of those bright spots, and I would certainly consider this one for an award.
All right. Thank you. Next one, Copperhead.
Oh my, don't get too close. I hope this is done with about a 300 millimeter lens, because that's a nasty snake. It's technically really nice. Look how sharp that snake is. My goodness, it's technically really well done. For me, design-wise, I would probably crop a good bit off the top. I know that it might tend to bring the snake into the center of the image, but I think the upper third, I don't think it contributes much to us. And I think maybe you could go in and you could darken down some of the foliage, especially the leaves and foliage just to my left of the snake's head. I'd probably pull some of that down, but it's very nicely done, and I would consider this for award.
Got it. Thank you. Next one is My Best Side.
Really nice nature shot. Just, when you're shooting, you'll be kind of jokingly say, "Ho hum, another bird on a stick." Well, so a picture of a bird or a tree is going to have a lot going for it to be good. I think you can see the maker's care and attention in composing this picture. I mean, look how the limbs end just short of the edge of the frame. And you could maybe take a little bit off the bottom, but I like that foliage. You get a much better feel for where the bird is by having the out of focus foliage in the front. And of course, the most important part is the bird is tack sharp, and I think the behavior that we're seeing is excellent. So I would certainly consider this for an award.
Got it. Okay, thank you. The other one is let's see here. Mountaintop Sentinel.
I think this is a great idea, but to me, it just really lacks a lot of the technical qualities that we expect. When you start off with a picture, when you're submitting it to a competition, first it's got to be sharp. If it's intended to be sharp, it's got to be sharp. And there's nothing sharp about this picture. Plus, there's a lot of what looks to me like banding in the background. That could just be lines in the fog or the smoke, but it looks like banding. So it's a great idea, but it lacks some technical qualities. Thank you.
The Protector.
Oh boy, that's a killer shot. God, I would not mess with that girl. It's just what a wonderful, candid picture. I think the title is wonderful. There's so much great expression. The child is just happy, and I guess the word is naive in her world, but boy, her big sister is keeping an eye out for her, taking care of her. I think the models are lovely. Also, look how beautiful, tall, and slender that young lady is. I love the composition, the placement of the subject. I think that's just a wonderful candid picture. I think there's also a crop picture. I think if you consider cropping, perhaps her legs out and the right side, crop it and make it more of a portrait because her faces are so powerful. I'd certainly consider this for an award.
Next one is Hassan Tuma.
I think this is a good idea. The concept of framing is, goes back as long as there have been cameras. But I have a lot of technical concerns about this picture. All the ghosting around the frame on the inside of the arch. I don't know if this is a composite or not, but it's the lack of texture in the background and the technical problems with what I think to be the composite. I would pass this one along.
Right. Next one is Pac-Man on the Roof.
Really, to me, it's a great example of somebody finding a picture. Like, boy, a lot of folks will not bother to point their camera at this, but I love details like this. I find, it's an architectural detail. They see the shapes and the forms and the textures. I think the maker did a real good job. I would probably crop it from the left. I think, I'd like to see the hood vent more in the left quarter of the picture. So I'd probably crop out from the left. It's a nice picture, but in this set, it doesn't hold for an award.
Next one is Concentration.
Again, I hope this was done with something more than a 50 millimeter. It's of course, what a beautiful detail of an animal. But when you do pictures like this, it's all about being sharp and it's about the eyes. I think there's such a thing as getting in too close. I know that's what you want to reach for. I'd rather zoom out a little more, and I need the cat's. I need both the cat's eyes to be sharp. Right now, the sharpest part of the picture is the nose, and so that kind of makes the picture about the cat's nose. So I would pass on this one.
Got it. Time Machine.
I think somebody's got a great eye for detail and for composition. This is, yes, it's just a snapshot of a bunch of stuff, but you got to have the eye for it and the technical ability to capture it. I would certainly take this picture, and it would be in my catalog. I wouldn't hang it on the wall, but I think it's very nicely done. Why don't you love to dig through that stuff? It's a really nice snapshot, but it's not in the award category.
Got it. Okay. Next one is Roofs. Roofs at Stonehenge.
Boy, I understand what we're looking at. It's those shapes and forms of the roofs of those very rustic structures. But I'm just, excuse me. I can't get into the picture. I'd rather see the rest of the buildings. If you're going to take pictures of structures like this when you're traveling, I'd rather see more of the buildings, in this case, the foregrounds, and, a lot less sky, a lot more building. Thank you.
Next one is, ta-da, Stonehenge.
Really nice travel picture. And again, you're taking a picture of an icon. The subject is so iconic, and the thing that is special about this picture is the subject and not the image itself. It could have been done maybe with different lighting, with more contrast, with different light, a time of day, perhaps some different angles, shooting from within, or other forms. So I would pass this picture along.
Right. Catching the mist.
This is, I have to smile at this picture because there's so much wrong with it, but it's great. I really like this picture. I think it even looks like it was probably done on a tripod. Everything is so sharp and so crisp. You're shooting into the sun. You have those horrible flares, but I think the subject matter is interesting enough where it really makes for a very compelling picture. The placement of the fishing guy on the left side, I would probably take a little off the bottom, though. I don't think you need quite so much foreground, and I'm a great fan of panoramas. I would consider this for an award.
Got it. Thank you. Next one is locomotive. Locomotive 21. I make it right.
Okay. It's technically, well, it has a lot of technical qualities. It's obviously very sharp. The exposure is very nice, great detail. I don't really care for the sky. It looks as if it's a black and white conversion of an HDR picture, which can really make for some ugly skies. So it's a nice snapshot, a nice documentary photograph. Thank you.
Okay. Next one is called Waiting. Let me get that up for you. Waiting.
I'm just crazy about this candid picture. Boy, I don't know if someone's been to Cuba or to wherever they've been to find these wonderful characters, these wonderful street scenes. It's interesting because this picture breaks so many rules. The fact that there are two heroes in the picture, the bicycle and the character, you supposedly you want things in odd numbers of threes, but I think in a way that sort of adds to the energy, adds to the conflict in the picture and draws you into it. I think everything but the sweater is flat. I would suggest selecting the sweater. You don't want to mess it up, but I would certainly add some contrast to the rest of the picture. And I know there are people that would want to cut it right down the middle and make a vertical portrait of the character. I just think it's such a great street scene that it deserves consideration.
Got it. Okay, next one is Shaded Canopy.
I think somebody had a really good eye for, say, boy, there's a picture in there someplace, and I think the subject is that roof vent on the top. It looks as if it was done with a lot of care. Small aperture, shallow depth of field, focus on the canopy, but it's still just not very compelling. There's not much of a story, not much pop to the picture. Thank you.
Next one is St. George shrimp boats.
Shrimp boat pictures are almost like waterfalls. There's so many great places to shoot boats. This is technically wonderful. The maker really did a perfect job. It's sharp. The contrast is really nice. I like the composition quite a lot. This is one of many, many great pictures that you could shoot of that bunch of boats. The one technical thing that I'd like to see corrected are those bright spots on the lower right. Those hot spots. I'd like to find some other material to clone over those bright areas. So I think, like I say, I think the fact that that the subject matter is not that original, I think I would pass on it.
Okay. And the last one, black and whites. Last one is Sideways.
I think the maker really did a good job of finding this picture. I love to do these things. Find some pictures new or used, fresh or old, put them on your table and rotate them with a macro lens and find pictures. It's technically very nice. It has a fairly deep level of focus, but there are a lot of soft areas. To me, the closest things to you need to always be sharp. I want to like it, but it has some technical problems as well. Like I would certainly get rid of that bright spot on the lower left. That needs to go away, and it looks like there may be a little bit of lens dust below that. And I also think it's flat. I think it could use a little more contrast. So I would pass on that one.
All right, that's the end of the mono. Jack, did you need a break or you want to go directly to color?
No, I'm gonna sit here and have a drink of apple juice, and I'm ready.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, let me get the color up. Go ahead and I'm going to stop the share screen and bebop into that rate. All righty, thank you so much. Let me get this set up here. All right. All righty, let's go ahead and do the, let me go ahead and share the screen. Minor detail, you think?
Yeah.
You imagine what the picture is like. You don't have to see these pictures, just imagine it.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah,
Love them. Love them.
Yeah, isn't that great? Okay. And okay, there we go. Okay, so let's do the silent run through, and we'll go that route. I don't know how that got in there, but we'll skip it. Okay, that's the section. We'll go back to the original shot. And that begins with park shelter. Go, Jack.
I think the maker did a good job of seeing this picture. It's a really nice detail. It's just the concept of going to a place like a park shelter and finding shapes and patterns and colors. I think is excellent. But there are some technical questions about the picture that I'm not really sure I understand. I don't know if you're seeing the sky through the framework, but or if it's a painted wall or whatever. But it looks like a sky. And if it's a sky, it's a mess. You see the haloing around the structure. The color is kind of flat. I'd like to see perhaps a little contrast between the wood the wood pattern on the foreground, perhaps darken down a little bit as it fades away. But I think the maker's got a good eye, but I'm just not crazy about the picture technically. Thank you.
Next one is scene at Times Square.
This is mad. Oh my goodness. You know, I've never been to Times Square before, but Linda has and said, "Yep, that's what it looks like." I think it's a marvelous image. It's almost, gosh, it's like postcard or cartoon-like in its vibrance. I think it was processed a lot, but I like it. Yeah, I think whatever the maker did to punch up the contrast and the colors, I think it's very effective, especially for a subject like this. My problem is the sky. That is one ugly sky. And you know, there's so many things that you can do to replace or, well, excuse me, I guess we could, for instance, if this is HDR, that's the kind of sky you get with HDR. So if you're going to use HDR for your images, always separate the sky and process it differently. Because that's the biggest weakness for this picture is that sky. So I'm going to pass on this one for awards.
Right, got it. Next one is Low Tide at Sunrise.
Mike, just a quick remark. Part of my comments about whether I would retain a picture for future conversation judgments, part of it's based on the fact that I've seen this whole set, and we are comparing one picture to another. So when I pass on an image, just because I just don't think it fits in the top 5 or 10 in the group.
That's your choice. I mean, you know, so whatever you think makes the cut in your mind works for us.
Yeah, how's that for a caveat?
That's all right.
Really nice beach shot. Really well done. Boy, the maker was there at the right time of day, had the right skills to be able to capture the colors and the vibrance. If this has got a bunch of Photoshop done, it certainly doesn't show. And that's a compliment. It looks like it's straight out of the camera. I wish the horizon were not quite so close to the center. And you guys that know me know that one of my favorite tricks is to isolate the sky and compress it a little bit, squash it down, which is something I do in Photoshop a lot. You know, I want to keep all the color and the textures, but I just want to squash it down a little bit. And that would, in effect, raise the horizon a little bit in the picture. Please keep that one for award consideration.
Got it. Next one is The Winds of Fate, and it's a composite.
Lord help. And you can look at this picture all day long. My goodness. I'm just really impressed with it. Well, I think the theory, I think the idea, the design, the story is wonderful. But boy, is it well executed also. If you get in a look close at this picture, it's really hard to see the maker's work, okay? I mean, all that stuff looks like it was meant to be there. So I think it's just wonderful. It's hard for me to make any comments about what I would do to make it better. So please keep this one for consideration.
The next one is, I'm sorry, Tricolored Heron.
Really nice nature shot. Wonderful pose. Really good job of blurring the background. I guess my concern, and again, I'm not a naturalist, but the colors to me look exaggerated. And gosh, I may be way wrong. Slap me if I am. But the colors look exaggerated, and I don't think that effect suits this kind of subject. So I would pass on this one.
Okay. Okay, the next one is The Palace of Thenia.
I like this little travel picture. It's not particularly interesting to me. You know, the theme is, I think that whoever did this shot probably has 57 other pictures of the palace, and this would be one of many. So you know, there's no particular point of interest. Thank you. I would pass on this one.
Heavenly Abode.
It needs a bird. I've gotta say it. It really needs a bird. It's technically really nice. I mean, look how sharp everything is from the bottom of the post to the stems up in the sky. You know, I like the way the sky's rendered. You know, the colors and the contrast. But I don't think the subject justifies the image. Thank you.
Don't hit me.
I think this is a wonderful idea. I love pictures like this. We're not supposed to take pictures of other people's artwork like sculptures and statues and call it our artwork. So I think the fact that the person saw this bird where it is and decided to shoot it like this with that hand is wonderful. I would like to see more of the bottom. I'd like to see a little more connection between the bird and the arm. And the only way I can think to do it would be to add a little bit more of the bottom. So yeah, I'd love to know if this was cropped. And if so, let's see more of it. Thank you.
Not to review later or?
No.
Got it, I got it. Okay, the next one is looking in.
Really nice travel picture. Very well seen. I think the composition is nice. Now, of course, we're always supposed to find three things or odd numbers, but this is two. And I think part of the benefit is that the two subjects are different enough. The fact that shutter on the right side is open just adds so much to the picture. I'd like to punch it up a whole lot, though. I think it's awfully flat. It was shot under really great light. There's not a lot of harshness, but I'd like to see some more contrast and some more punch in that picture. So for that, I think I would pass it along.
Got it. Okay, the next one is my best memories.
What a wonderful concept. Just a great idea, boy. But I don't think the execution is very good. It could be that we started with a cell phone picture and we've tried to add some software program, some artistic software to it to make it better. But I don't think it's very successful. And I would certainly get rid of some of those white. I know they're probably flowers or blooms, but those white blotches are really distracting. So I would pass this one along.
All right. Relic.
Well, now you guys know I like some old cars and trucks. There's no doubt of that. God, old car city Jack. But I think the inclusion of the guy in this picture just adds so much to it. Wow. Yeah, I've always heard about people going to places like Cuba to shoot pictures like this. I think it's a terrific street scene. Where the guy not there, it would lose more than half its value. So I think the maker's done a really wonderful. It's technically very nice exposure, color. Can't think of anything I'd do better, and I would consider this for an award.
Fair Lane 500.
Oh my goodness, you're just killing me here with all these cars. This is technically, again, really well done. Look how sharp it is. From the really small details in the lens in the center of the tail light, all the way to the window panes and the metal trim on the building. The maker really knows how to take a sharp, well crafted picture. There's some things I'd like to do better. To me, this is all about angle. You got to pick. To me, I want to see something straight, and the thing I would straighten would be the corner of the building on the left side. It looks like he's leaning out at the top just a little bit. I would straighten that out just a little, make it straight. And then everything else being at odd angles, I think is wonderful. You got to get rid of that rear view mirror also. No rear view mirror. Your eye goes way too much for that. And I'd also get rid of the yellow sign, and those things are easy to do. Please consider this one for an award.
Got it. Okay, the next one is tucked in.
Yeah, we all love to take pictures of flowers like this, but in so many cases, the biggest problem is lighting. You see so many pictures taken from Gibbs Gardens and the Botanical Garden where the worst problem is the time of day. They're harsh, they're contrasty, they're burned out spots. I think the maker showed a lot of care and a lot of attention to this picture. I wonder if it was cleaned up a lot, because usually there are lots of spots and defects on those leaves. If so, I commend the maker for doing that. I would still probably bring it up a little bit. I tend to want to see a little information in the background. If there's a little more information in the upper right-hand corner, I think I would appreciate a little more instead of being completely black. The picture could certainly use a little brighter exposure. And I think, like I said, I think it's It's a lovely image. It could be brighter, mostly for me for brightening it up, making it more vibrant. But I would pass on that for an award.
Got it. Next one is Arabia Mountain Eyes.
I certainly compliment this maker on seeing this picture. I use the word the term, this picture was very well seen. You know, you can just be walking down a trail or driving down the road and say, oh my goodness, look at the light on that one. And you were smart enough to stop and take a picture. So it's very nicely done. It's technically nice. The subject is nice and sharp and crisp. I would definitely darken down I would consider cropping some of the right and make it a vertical panorama, or certainly darken down the upper right edge. But it still doesn't have a great hero or a really dynamic subject matter, so I would not consider this for an award.
Next one is Low Country Afternoon.
What a great place to be, and what a great time of day. Boy, the maker really scored on this one for the lighting and the time of day. Because boy, you can drive 300 miles to get to a place like this, and then it's either raining or it's really bright and harsh. So this is very nicely done. I'd like to see a little more pop, perhaps a little more contrast and punch in it, just for my taste. And also, you're always drawn to the brightest areas, and the brightest area in this picture are on the sides. That bright spot to the left of the big tree on the left, I would really want to do something with that. You could either perhaps clone some of the moss down from other parts of the picture. I really hate to crop in the middle of that tree, but I would find some way of fixing that bright spot on the left side. And then on the right side, where the grass meets the foliage, is the same case. You don't want those really bright, shiny areas to distract you, from the wonderful scene in the middle. Picture is certainly worth considering for an award, though.
One is Watery Brushstroke.
Very nice water picture. Love to shoot these. I think the maker did a really, really nice job of zooming in. And this is not a waterfall. It's like a portrait of parts of a waterfall. I think the maker did a wonderful job of seeing this, of controlling the lighting, the exposure, the shutter speed. It just shows a lot of attention. It's awfully grainy, and I'm not sure about that. There are a lot of ways of cutting the noise and grain out of pictures these days. But I would consider this for an award.
Next one is Gutter Montage.
I think I think this person has a great eye for pictures. There's just not enough interest in this picture. It's just not dynamic or dramatic enough to be worth the picture. It's technically very nice. Exposure is great. The color's nice. I'd consider darkening the rocks down on the upper part, but it's a nice snapshot. But it won't hang on the wall. Thank you.
Is Woodland in the fall. Woodland in fall.
Oh boy, very, very nicely done. That's another example. I'd love to know if there was very much Photoshop or work done on this image, because the toning and the lighting, and of course the way the maker has given us this bright area on the left side lean you. Trail needs to go somewhere, and this case the trail's going to that bright spot. I would definitely flip this one though. We have that rule where you want to be led from left to right into a picture. I would certainly flip this one. And you could also see what happens if you give it some more pop. If you punch up the colors and the contrast. It has a lovely, nice, soft look now, but I'd try another version with a lot more pop in contrast. I would consider that for an award. Thank you.
Got it. Next one is, well, we're just get that. Let me see here. Sorry, Whirlwind. Whirlwind's the next one. Whirlwind. There you go.
I like this because it's very creative. How many times did I think back during September and October, gee, I need to go out and throw some leaves up in the air and shoot up at them. But the fact that the maker was wise enough to spin the camera, to create this effect, I think is really nicely done. It would be nice to know if it's a composite or perhaps it's the leaves that we see in focus, or who knows, on a piece of glass.
It doesn't say composite there, as I tell you.
Well, because that's a tricky picture to take, to get those sharp leaves in the foreground. Very nicely done, excellent. But I don't think it fits in the award category in this bunch.
Okay, next one's Over the Dam.
Oh, what a super landscape! Golly, if you define the elements of a landscape, layers, textures, contrast, colors, this picture really does have it all. From that stone in the foreground to keep you in the picture, to the wonderful lines, the great use of shutter speed for the texture in the water, detail from the roots on the tree on the lower left all the way back to the tree just to the right of the waterfall. And then it goes soft above the water where it should. It's really hard to find things to do to make this picture any better. I tend to want to give things too much punch, but it's really nice soft where it is. Now, is that good now? So now we can be critical. I would get rid of that log in the middle. The log that's right in the center of the picture. Get rid of that log. To me, it's distracting. And also on the far left side, on that tree trunk, there's a bright spot where you're looking through an opening in that tree. I would get rid of that. Easy things to do. It's a great picture, and please consider that one for an award.
Got it. Thank you. Tongue at the Sea.
I'm trying to think of the right word for the tones and the colors in this picture. Lots of pump. I've been talking about pumping things up and giving it more contrast, more vibrance. This one has a lot of vibrance and a lot of color. But I think it's very well done. It's okay to me that it's probably exaggerated some, because it's a beautiful image. The textures and the tones and the colors all work so well together. There is a hump in the skyline, and it's curved, and I know that's very easy to fix in Lightroom or Photoshop. But I think it's a wonderful beach scene. Please keep that one for consideration.
Got it. All right, next one is titled Golf Ball.
Golf ball.
Golf,
what,
like
yeah,
GULF, golf ball. That's all right.
There you go. Sounds a lot like golf ball. It's easy to say. I really like what the maker has done. I have one of those balls. I've had it for a year, and I've yet to take a picture. So I need to get out and do what this person has done. I wish the ball were not dead center, or almost dead center. I would like to see you move the ball a little bit more to the left, perhaps by taking a step or two to the right. Now, that also means that you might lose the image on the ball. But to me, that's kind of, people that are smart enough to do this are smart enough to do a composite. Shoot this picture, recompose, move the ball a little bit further on the left, and then stick the picture back in the ball. To me, the picture is mostly about the ball, the tool, the piece of equipment. I think that you can do even better things with it. So I would pass on this one.
All right. Next one is Ruins and Falls.
Oh, okay, guys. All right. Now, we have all seen a bunch of waterfall pictures. And this one just doesn't have the pop or the interest that some of the others do. The water is very blue. The rocks on the right have a lot of bright spots in them. This looks like a great place, but this is not the best picture of that place. So it really is about working a subject, finding the composition, find the angle of view, where to be, how to get the picture that really does the job for you. I would pass on that one.
Just know it's Ruins and Falls, Cochrane Mill. I thought I'd make sure that's right. Okay, the next one is Cascade, Cochrane Mill.
Nice water picture. Again, we put our camera in the right place, we focused it sharply, we control our aperture, control our shutter speed really well. I think you can go too long in your shutter speed sometimes. I like to see a little bit of the energy in the water. But of course, when you shoot a picture like this, you don't shoot it just once. You shoot it with half a dozen different shutter speeds and use the one that you like. And again, rating this as a waterfall picture, it's nicely done. I would probably take a little bit out of the top. I don't need so much rock in the top part, and I don't really care for the stick. The stick is very distracting. When you look at the picture, when I look at the picture, first thing I see is a broken thigh bone on the left side. So I'm sorry, that's what I see. But I would pass on this picture for consideration.
Right. It's called Pattern in Glass and Steel.
Very nicely seen. Again, an example of someone who's ready to take a picture when they see it. Really nice contrast and colors and detail. I really don't care for all the dark areas in the bottom. That to me is that's the weakest part of this picture, are all those dark areas. So again, when you see a subject like this, move around, shoot a whole lot of pictures, and try to take advantage of those wonderful reflections and colors as best you can. So I would pass on this one.
Bear Creek Falls.
And boy, it's a waterfall grand landscape. But it is, again, this person had to have wet feet when they were shooting that picture, which I think is wonderful. If you're going to be a good waterfall photographer, you got to get your feet wet and probably slide down and break your camera once or twice, like I've done. But anyway, it's a wonderful wide angle landscape of a waterfall, but it's awfully flat. It is so flat and so dull. I'd really like to see this one pumped up a whole lot. And when you do that, you're probably going to get a lot more brightness out of those lights up in the trees in the top. So once you brighten it up, you might want to crop some of the top out to get rid of all those bright lights in the trees. It's a wonderful picture, but I think it could be made much better with some processing. But I would consider this for award, please.
So you want to consider it later? Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Bear Creek Way.
Now after a couple of hours of this, I guess I tend to get kind of groggy. To me, this is a picture of a black rock. It's nice. It's a pretty nice waterfall picture. I think the person was looking for detail, but the detail is in the bottom part of the picture below the black rock. There are so many other pictures that you could take of this scene. And so, I don't care for this version of that waterfall. Thank you.
Got it. Okay, the next one is Upward.
Love to shoot these. I think it's a great idea. Boy, I've shot the buildings around Woodruff Park. Of course, you don't want to be around Woodruff Park too much because you'd be ducking gunshots. But I love to shoot the architecture around Woodruff Park and around Georgia State University. But it's a nice idea, but I don't think the execution is great. It looks to me like the upper part of the image is burned out. When I viewed it on my camera, when I downloaded on my computer earlier, it looked to me like the upper part is just pretty much burned out. And the other thing is, even though it's about angles and lines, I really want the center line down the middle of the picture to be straight. That would be really easy to correct. I would straighten that line and again, see if there's more information in the upper part of the image, to keep it from looking so burned out. Thank you.
Seaman's Dream.
A nice architectural study.
Seaman's Dreaming, sorry.
Okay, a nice architectural study, but it's not particularly creative. The sky, there's probably a really good sky in there, but you got to make it that way. You got to pull it down and add some contrast to make it, perhaps even a time of day. Gosh, think how it would be to shoot this picture at dusk when there's light inside that building and the sky is darker. Just could make for a much more creative image. Thank you.
Portman's Curve.
a really interesting abstract. Yeah, I think the viewer's done a really good job of seeing this picture. My goodness, you know. And I'm wondering when you see the differences in the light, the bright areas and the dark areas, gosh, is that all natural light? Yeah, just because of the time of day. I love the design of the picture, but it's I'm concerned about all the gradation. I don't remember the generic will tell me the right word for all those lines and seams and variations in the dark part and in the sky. I don't know what that's called, but it's technically not very well done. So I would pass on that one.
Right, got it. Next one is Morgan in pink.
Oh my God, what a picture. Boy, talk about having to take a tour of the picture. You can look at this picture for a long, long time. You're starting, of course, with that amazing eye looking at you, with the catch light just right, her the color of her lipstick and her hair, the pose. But boy, look at the placement of her hands. Whoever did this picture, boy, they really know how to do poses, and the lighting is just terrific. So I think that's just a wonderful picture. I wonder if that's anybody's wife that we know. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll start with Mono. Okay, let's start with honorable mentions. Honorable mention is going to go to that one. That's going to be Live Oak. And Live Oak is by Chris Hanley. He's not here, but he entered some good stuff this competition. It's good to see he's entering, but that's by Chris Hanley. Not surprising he came up with a nice shot like that one. And then another honorable mention is going to be Full Torque. And Full Torque is by Michelle Simmons. Michelle, congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jack.
Oh, certainly. Thank you. Wonderful image. Wow, great eye.
Where'd you take it?
This is a sculpture outside the bioengineered systems building at Georgia Tech.
Wow, really nicely done. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay, and let's see, the next one that got an honorable mention, is that right? And that's going to be Catching the Mist by Rohit, who's not here. Anyway, he'll be happy about that one.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah, the mist is really beautiful. And then the next one is going to be honorable mention, right? And that's going to be Waiting. Mm-hmm. And Waiting is by Mr. Ken Anderson.
Hey, yeah. Thanks very much, Jack and everybody. This was an image I took in China a couple of years ago. It's funny, when I was going back and working on this, there was like 2 other images right around the same time and of the same scene, and neither of them are any good at all. So this one, as I think with street scenes a lot, you capture something and there's a lot of luck involved. But
it's wonderful. Great job, Ken.
Yeah, leaving the bicycle wheel in there really makes a difference. Anyway, the next one, third place, goes to My Best Side, and that's by Gennario Morgan.
Oh.
Yeah, that was taken at Arabia Mountain last year. Just went out there for a hike with point and shoot camera.
Yeah, I was going to ask how much lens you had, and you did it with a point and shoot. Wow.
Well, it's a long lens point and shoot. But
nice.
Yeah, great background and tack sharp on the bird. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. And the next one is The Protector, and this one is by Chris Hanley again. Whoa, he's on a roll.
Oh, wow.
I know. I didn't think it would be by him, but boy, she's don't mess with her, right? And then the next one is Haircut, and this is by Ju Han Yo, apparently a new member. So that's a new member shot. I love the right side, how it's sharp, boy sharp. It's really a National Geographic style photograph.
It certainly is. Wow, wonderful.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up the color. can't see them because I can't see. They don't let me see. I'm gonna stop share because I can't see how to sort them without the sort of. I'm gonna stop share for a second. Forgive me. I'll be back. I'm gonna do this. Change the view. Full screen. Be back in. Okay, okay, I got it. Okay, I got him. And now I'm going to share the screen. I made it. I made it. All righty. Okay, now let's do start with the honorable mentions. That's an honorable mention, Jack, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, the Winds of Fate is number, yeah.
Got it. Yeah, we'll do this. That's an honorable mention. It's called Tongue of the, that's by Daryl Neal, Tongue of the Sea. Yeah, Daryl's here, isn't he? Yeah. Daryl, go ahead.
Yes. So this is in Naples, Florida, and there is this very unusual sky formation. That's what struck me. You see, it looks like the end of the world, and it's coming right at me. And down below is this tongue. And then you have to look and you see there are footprints. Those are the people who are running away in panic at the end of the world.
That's great, Daryl. Very well done.
Nice story, too. That's very nice, like a Greek myth. Okay, the next honorable mention goes to this one. That's Fairlane 500. Guess who it's by? Chris Hanley. Just doing great. He did that one. That's Chris's shot. Yeah, Fairlane 500 by Chris Hanley. Yeah, he's good. Good composition. Okay, and the next one is, it's the car picture, right? Okay, another car picture. Correct. Okay. Relic is the next honorable mention, and that's going to be by Chris Hanley again. Hey,
jeez.
He's collecting ribbons today. He does that when he enters. Let's go ahead and go to third place rather, and third place goes to this lovely shot by Steve Director. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, thank you, Jack. This is Mill Creek Dam. Because of the pandemic, I had to find places to shoot that would appear to be uninhabited, but people around. But a lot of the people were taking shots right up on the dam itself, and I thought, if I could get down low and get some of these trees and roots and rocks in, it might be more effective. So I worked at it for a while, and I went back there several times over several months to get this one.
Just wonderful.
Very serene, I think.
Steve, where is it?
Mill Creek Dam, Mill Creek Park up in Roswell.
Oh,
lovely.
It's a nice place.
It looks like it. And the next one, second place goes to, ta-da, Morgan in Pink by guess who? Miss Michelle Simmons.
Thank you. This is with an iPhone 10. And can I brag about this photo?
Please brag, go ahead.
I never really, this has just been sitting there, and I happened to enter it in the International Mobile Photo Awards, and it just won first prize in portraits. So
holy smokes.
I know, that's what I said.
Mike,
oh, am I? Okay. Can you hear me? Oh boy, it's here. Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Nothing like technology.
You're in a well, but we hear you.
Better? Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Battery's dying. Let's move real quickly. Oh boy, that means my battery's dying on this thing. That's what's going on. Can you hear me? All right. Okay, if you can hear me. This one, The Winds of Fate, is by me.
Wow.
I spent enormous amount. Tornadoes are very hard to make. They're not easy to create. And so I used every tool Photoshop had to offer just about to pull this one off. This is 3 photographs. This building here comes from one in Palouse County. I reconstructed this whole wall here, that's from scratch. And I reconstructed half the roof. And I added this part to it. And I added this base to it from parts of the building. So I moved parts around. And then the tornado came from, I created a color palette from all the clouds in the original shot, which is in Bolivia. And I created all these clouds, including the thunderhead, from clouds that were already in there. So the colors would match, including a color palette from the ground to get the splash. The flag is not, I do not have a Confederate flag, and I didn't know where to find one. So I took an American flag that I had, and I used that as a template, and I used that and found a Confederate flag template. I just simply overlaid the colors from the American flag to this one and made it look torn up and changed the color so it looked old, and that's a created flag. I don't have a flag.
Jeez.
And so that's how I did that, because I wanted them, I didn't have a Confederate flag. I didn't know where to get one. I just thought, oh, I'll just use an older American flag I have and get the texture from there and just the template. I did it.
Mike, can you tell me about all the trails and tracks in the, well, it looks like a marsh that there's been a lot of traffic running through.
Yeah, this is the salt flats of Bolivia, and
wow.
there's I was unbelievable. The original had make under the clouds were too small, so I created this the whole day and
Mike, we're losing your audio. We're losing your audio. You're really breaking up.
Okay, but anyway.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, well, my thing's dying on me. But anyway, it took a lot of work, and I looked at photographs of tornadoes. And the hardest part of this whole photograph was these little wisps. See those little wisps, like little wisps? That was hard to do. And I had to make 6 of my own brushes in Photoshop to do it. The brushes Photoshop offers do not work well, so you had to make up your own brushes. Get these wisps. I looked at photographs of tornadoes that had these little wisps on the side. I wanted to recreate those wisps. And that was a little bit difficult, but I got the brushes to do it. So anyway, I'm not going to tell you how I really did it because I'd have to kill you if I did. But anyway, it was fun. Anyway, that's it, folks. And Don, I'll definitely think about your thought and maybe just mute the judge and whoever else is doing it. And that may be a good idea. So we may do that.
Well, let me say, Mike, first of all, I don't have an appreciation sitting here at home for what you and the judge have to do technically, especially when Rohit is not in there to help with the projection, so on. I don't have an appreciation for that. I know you've got a lot of things to do.
No worries. I mean, I like
that taking a break the way we've been doing it for several months during competitions may appeal more to your sense of what has to be done than it appeals to my sense of enjoying the meeting at home. It just doesn't appeal to me. I would like to see something done differently if possible.
I am all ears, and I will definitely move on that. I think muting the judge and myself are
I would like to have at least been able, I don't know if Zoom can do it, I would like to at least to have been able to do chats with some of the people who were there while we were waiting.
I think you can do that. I will look into that, Don. I take your advice very seriously.
I couldn't get to chat once you'd taken the screen down.
Oh, yeah.
And also, Jack, you did a great job. Thank you.
Oh, gosh, thank you so much, Don. I really appreciate it.
Also, Jack, you may not have figured out, but about 3 weeks ago, the club had a workshop on photographing moving water.
Oh, my, yes.
And you saw too many entries from that workshop tonight.
Waterfalls are tough, you know?
Yeah, but too many entries of the same thing because a bunch of people went and shot the same thing.
It's okay.
This is coming up again in a week from Saturday. We've got a field trip at Arabia Mountain. And for those of us who are going to that, let's hold on to some of our entries rather than stick them all in at the next open competition. Otherwise, we'll be absolutely overwhelmed with diamantha or what the little red flowers are.
Don, there's a problem. There's a tornado workshop coming up.
Knee pads, people. Don't go to Arabia Mountain without a really good set of knee pads.
Okay.
Hey, Jack, your critiques were really great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Michael. Michelle, this